Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week I wanted to talk about something that I've sort of talked about before a little bit, but maybe in not a huge amount of detail. And the subject is NFTs, and it's a kind of a technical subject, and I know it doesn't interest everybody, but at the moment it's also sort of on the fringes of the art world, but I think it will become much more mainstream in the not too distant future, and it might even become the main way in which art is bought and sold. At least that's what some people believe. So again, rather than just a talking head video, I thought it might be more interesting to watch me paint this watercolor landscape at the same time as talking about NFTs. So first of all then, NFT, what does it actually stand for? What does the acronym stand for? And it stands for non-fungible tokens. So let's look at it just from an art point of view. And in that case, a token it could be a painting, such as the one I'm doing now, a physical painting. It could be a digital scan of a painting. It could be a digital photograph. It could be digital artwork created with an app like Procreate or something like this. A token is basically a piece of artwork. Then the other two letters, the N and the F, they stand for non-fungible. Now, what I understand about non-fungible is it is something that is sort of unique and cannot be easily exchanged. For example, if you have a £1 note or a $1 bill or whatever currency you use, you can exchange that for another £1 note or $1 bill because they inherently have the same value, assuming, of course, neither of them are counterfeit. You can't do the same with artwork. You can't say, well, this painting is the same size as that painting, therefore they have the same value. Or this painting uses the same colors and has the same subject matter, therefore it has the same value. So artwork is non-fungible. It's kind of unique. So from the point of view of an artist and the art world, NFT just means a unique piece of artwork, which could be physical, it could be digital art, or it could be both. It could be, for example, this painting that I'm doing, which is a physical object, and then at the end you'll see I create a digital version, which is just a scan of the original painting. The other thing that NFTs rely on is a thing called blockchain technology. So I think, and my understanding is limited, but maybe the way to explain blockchain technology is to think of it as a kind of virtual ledger book. So one of the problems with digital art and physical art as well has always been sort of provenance. How do you prove that this painting was indeed painted by such and such artist? How do you prove that the person who's trying to sell you the painting is the rightful owner of that painting? And in the past, it's been very difficult to prove these things conclusively for every single painting. And with digital art, it was pretty much impossible. But blockchain, like I say, is kind of like an online ledger book, and it does solve these problems. Basically, when something is created as an NFT, it gets a kind of unique ID number. And that number then is registered in the blockchain. And the blockchain is a collection of independent, geographically separated computers which store the data independently and store it in an encrypted way. So no one can easily fraudulently change the data within a blockchain. It may not be possible, or at least it would be extremely difficult. So therefore, it pretty much solves the provenance problem. And this is why I said it may become the main way in which art is bought and sold in the future, because many collectors will want to know that the art they're collecting, that they're buying, really is by the artist that they think it is. And the blockchain can solve that problem. Now, some of the other things about NFTs, at the moment, NFTs are sold, they're bought and sold on sort of online marketplaces, websites. But the problem is, because the whole technology is still quite new, unless you are familiar with things like blockchain and cryptocurrency and the whole NFT world, it's quite a difficult thing to get into. It's not like a normal website where you just log on and start collecting art. It doesn't work like that. You have to set up a digital wallet. You have to buy some cryptocurrency. You maybe have to put that into your wallet and things. It all gets, for somebody like me who isn't used to that whole world, it is very opaque and very difficult to get into. That might change in the future as new marketplaces evolve and start to market themselves not just to people who are sort of tech savvy, but to any art collector. Okay, well, hopefully you're not as confused as I am, and my explanation hasn't made things even more difficult to understand, but basically I think this whole new technology, this NFT world, is basically a way of solving the problem of provenance and proving who owns painting, who painted the painting, and so on. This is a scan of the final painting. I was happy with the painting. I think it's quite loose, which I like. For me, it's not perfect. There's a few things I'd like to change in it, but you know, with watercolor, you can't actually change things. Once it's done, it's kind of done. There was one other thing I wanted to mention about NFTs, and this is something that doesn't often get mentioned. There's a lot of hype at the moment about NFTs. You'll see lots of YouTube videos and blog posts and things. But a lot of them don't mention this one thing, and it's, if you like, the inconvenient truth about NFTs. And that is their environmental impact, which is pretty shocking and devastating. Producing a single NFT produces about the same amount of carbon dioxide as a family of 4 in a developed country, a developed world country, would produce in about 1 month. So that's an awful lot, a staggering amount of CO2. And you think how many NFTs are generated each day on all these different marketplaces. There could be hundreds or thousands of new NFTs being produced every single day. That very quickly adds up into millions of tons of CO2 being pumped into the atmosphere. The reason the NFTs are producing so much CO2 is because this process, they call it minting. It's the process of creating a new NFT. Getting that ID number and getting that ID number sort of within the blockchain and spread out within the blockchain. To do that, you have to use computers that have to solve complex mathematical problems, which uses lots of computer power, uses lots of electricity. The computers generate a lot of heat that has to be dissipated, that has to be cooled down and things. Basically, you're using a lot of electricity, and that generates lots of CO2. There are ways around this. It might be possible to use more renewable energy, for example. It might be possible to change the way in which the new NFTs are minted, are registered within the blockchain. But at the moment, it is NFTs are an environmental disaster, really. And that's the main reason why I decided not to continue with NFTs. I didn't actually get to the point where I tried to produce an NFT. I found out about their environmental impact and just stepped away from the whole process. And I know for a lot of people this will be controversial because a lot of people love NFTs and they think it's the answer for a lot of artists. But I would say from an environmental point of view, I don't want my art associated with something that is destroying the planet. So, controversial ending to the video. If you'd like to subscribe, just click on the big red button below, and hopefully see you in next week's video.